A guy who knows a lot about what it sounds to play in Philadelphia. Charles Barkley
Chuck!
joins us right now. Charles, how you doing?
Man, I am so pumped for this game tonight. I ain't lying. I cannot wait. I mean, I am so pumped because I know, number one, shout out to the Sixers players, man, for going up in New York and stealing that game. That was amazing. That was awesome. But now, man, I know Philly because I was so pissed last week. I said it on the air. I thought that was the Knicks home game in game 3 and 4. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I really could not believe it. And, man, I can't wait for that. I know that place is going to be electric.
Oh, no question about it. We're giving away tickets. Charles, they gave away 2,000 tickets. But we've been debating this all morning long. Who do you think needs to have the bigger game tonight? Is it Tyrese Maxey, or does it have to be the big fella, Joel Embiid?
It's Tyrese. You know, Joel's really playing on one leg, it looks like. But I think it has to be Maxey. But, man, Tobias Harris, Kelly Oubre, they got to step up. You know, Kelly stepped up last game. Tobias stepped up a little bit. But they really got to pick it up, man. Because, listen, the role players, you know, because you go back and look at this series, the reason the Knicks got off to a good start was because of Josh Hart and DiVincenzo.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it's really got to be Tyrese. But listen, Oubre, and I tell you who's played great, Cameron. Payne has really stepped up in a couple games. But it's got to be, to me, Tobias. Tobias has to be this third best Sixer on the court tonight for them to win this game.
Charles, what do you make of the ascension of Maxey? You know, he was not even a lottery pick 4 years ago, and now he's gone to being a player in an elimination game on the road. Chuck, he dropped 46, and he played 52 minutes. It's remarkable how good he's gotten in such a short period of time.
Well, I think the thing that was, not holding him back, but James was holding him back because he had the ball so much. You know, he dribbles way too much. So that was really the thing. And I think the Sixers made a good decision moving on. I mean, we had this conversation last year. The Sixers had to move on from James. But I tell you, man, he's got a bright future. And, man, this summer is going to be very interesting for the Sixers with all the money they're going to have available. So it's a bright time to be it's a great time to be a 76ers fan.
I totally agree with that, Charles. But see, this is another question I want to ask you, Charles, because we've been going back and forth, me and my partner, all morning long about the expectations for Joel Embiid. And I know he's hurt, and I know he's dealing with some other injuries and everything like that. What is the realistic expectations that you have for Joel Embiid tonight?
He just got to give me anything he can. That's all he can. First of all, I think they should use him more as a decoy, to be honest with you, because the Knicks, for some reason, they're doubling him. And if I was Joel, I'd just go in the post, draw the double team, because that's going to get Maxey going. That's going to get Kelly going. That's going to get Tobias going. I would use myself. If I'm able to get 20 somewhere in there, some rebounds, that's great, because that's gravy. But, I don't expect him to go out and get 50 on the one leg. Because, you think about it. Joel won one game. Max won the game. Somebody else got to step up, like Josh Hart and DiVincenzo. They've won a game for the Knicks. They actually won 2 games for the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
But some other person has. If Bronson won a game for them, but one of the other guys got to step up and win a game. Whether it's Tobias, Kelly, Cameron Payne, like I said, he's had a couple of really good games. But somebody got to step up and win a game. That's how you win games. Like Derek White. Derek White won a game for the Boston Celtics. Bobby Porter's won a game for the Milwaukee Bucks the other night. Some unsung heroes especially at home, one of these role players got to step up and win a game for the Sixers other than Joel or Maxey.
Charles, who do you think the pressure is more on tonight? The Sixers, obviously, their back's against the wall. They're facing elimination. But the Knicks, to be 3-1, to be up 6 points with 30 seconds to go and not win that game, if they struggle tonight or lose tonight, I feel like the pressure is about to switch here for them, that they don't want to go back and play a Game 7. Who do you think more pressure's on tonight?
Well, the Sixers, all the pressure's on the Sixers because they have to win. But to piggyback on your point, man, it'll be so much pressure on those boys in Game 7 up in New York City. man, they won't be able to breathe. It'll be the longest 48 hours of their life before the next game. But for tonight, it's all 100% on the Sixers. They have to win. They obviously, I mean, I'm not telling anything you don't know. They have to win. But, man, if they can get it back to New York, it'll be – because, you know, they're going to roast those dudes in New York for going back to for the last game and tonight. It'll be so much pressure on those guys. But all the pressure is on the Sixers tonight.
Charles, does this series remind you a little bit of when you were playing? I feel like I'm watching 90s basketball. I don't know if it's watching the games at the Garden or Maxi.
Yeah, it's kind of physical.
It's been very physical. This has an old – does it feel to you a little bit old school with the back and forth? The Embiid is the villain, Maxi kind of going Reggie Miller the other night. Do you feel a little bit of that? It feels like an old school series to me.
Well, what it reminds me of is how great the Madison Square Garden crowd is and how great it was to play at the old Spectrum in big games. Now, they are letting the guys play, thank goodness, because, you know, the regular season is a three-point and a free throw shooting contest. I'm glad that they're letting these guys play a little bit. It's been great. But the atmosphere, you know, I tell people there's nothing like playing at Madison Square Garden, Boston in the Garden, the Spectrum back in the day, when you went to old Chicago stadiums. Man, it's just the coolest environment. You know, like it's, you know, Hugh, you know, when you played for the Eagles, you know, man, the vet and then the stadium, man, those fans are so passionate, and you can feel the energy. Like the Madison Square Garden has always been great, but when the Knicks are doing well like they are now, it's electric. But when we were doing good for the Sixers, some of those home playoff games, man, they were through the roof. So that's what it reminds me of, the energy. Because, listen, I don't want to offend anybody on the West Coast. I don't want to offend anybody on the West Coast. But, man, there's some about East Coast mentality when their team is doing good. When New York teams, Boston teams, Philadelphia teams are doing good, they have the best fans. And like I say, yeah, they like the Lakers. They like the Lakers because they're winning. You know, they do. But And they like the Warriors always had great fans when they're in Oakland. But I've always told people, man, there's some about the East Coast. Those fans, man, they are unbelievable.
Yeah, I always felt it just matters more here to us. It just matters. It's part of our life here. Charles, let's talk about the other game that you'll have before the Sixers and the Knicks tonight, because if obviously the winner of this series will play the winner of that series. Indiana-Milwaukee. Sounds like Dame Lillard might give it a go tonight. What do you think there? Indiana trying to close it out, similar to the Knicks, try to close out the Bucks here, but maybe the Bucks are getting a little bit healthier.
Yeah, but it's a different thing, because if the Bucks lose tonight, they're gonna lose the damn series. This is a must-win for the Bucks. If they don't win tonight, they're in trouble, because just like going back, they won't be able to breathe going back to Milwaukee, because Milwaukee came out and just punched them in the mouth. If they don't win that game tonight, they're in trouble. And I kind of feel the same way. Man, it'll be so much pressure on New York if the Sixers can get back there. I mean, it'll be crazy. So I tell you, but I think the Pacers do close them out tonight. I don't know. They haven't told us anything ahead about whether Dame or anybody's going to play. But the Pacers should win, man. If you got one game at home, that's like last year when the Sixers – I told everybody last year, if you go back to our conversation last week, I said, oh, Lord, if the Sixers don't – remember when they had Game 6 at home against Boston?
Oh, yeah.
I said, hey, this ain't no Game 6. This is a Game 7. If they don't win that game, they ain't got no chance of winning back in Boston. That's the way I feel about that Indiana game. I said it last year. I said, hey, man, if the Sixers don't win Game 6 at home, it's a wrap. They ain't going to win Game 7 back in Boston. And obviously that's what happened. And I feel the same way about the Pacers tonight. They're not going to win Game 7 back in Milwaukee.
Great stuff, Charles. We appreciate you hopping on here.
Chuck.
We'll be watching and listening on TNT tonight. Thank you, Charles.
Let me know when you're in the city again, man. We can hang out.
Me, guys. Oh, let me know, brother. Let's make it happen. Go Sixers.
Go Sixers.
Thanks, Charles. There he goes, Charles Barkley there. All right, got to take your victory lap. Charles agreed with you.
What are you talking about?
Take your victory lap.
Listen, Joe.
By the way, that was great. He came on. That was awesome.
It was big time, because I know he was busy, man.
Yeah.
And it was a Hail Mary, and he decided to come on. But Joe, it's not about that. It's just that I understand, like everything that you're saying this morning. I get it, because you're a diehard. You want this team to do well. But I think that as fans, we have to be realistic about what we're asking from our athletes. Like, you're asking Joel Embiid to do something right now that he hasn't done since he's been here.
Wait, but he did drop 50 last week.
Okay,
and that was a big game. They were down 0-2.
Yeah, but he's also had games where he hasn't shown up.
I agree.
In the playoffs.
A lot of them.
So
too many.
To sit there and say, I think Maxi's got to be the saving grace. And to this point, you got to have other guys, but you have to look elsewhere for guys to be that extraordinary person. Joel Embiid is who he is, and he's a Hall of Famer. There's nothing wrong with that, but he's in a place now where, to your point, that LeBron was years ago when people were calling him a choke. He's a choke until he isn't.
You know, here's what may be the truth that's coming out as this moves along. We may get the reality that he's a number 2 on a championship
maybe,
team, Joel,
or
not
maybe,
a number 1.
Yeah, maybe.
Or a 1B to a 1A, and maybe and we could hope and dream that Maxi becomes the consistent 1A. But that I mean, sometimes that happens to star players, and it happens in front of our eyes.